All right. Out of respect for everybody's time and for carving out your attention in the evening, we'll go ahead and get started. But we are recording this webinar and we'll have it posted shortly after so that if any part of it needs to be reviewed, that's possible. I just wanted to start off the call by introducing myself. My name is Crystal Little, and I'm the executive director here at Camp Thunderbird. And I just want to start by saying how excited I am for the upcoming summer and how incredible this team is that you see on the screen with me. They're really crafting an incredible experience, and I'm excited for you to learn about it this evening. We'll have a chance to answer questions. So if anything comes up that we're not answering, feel free to pop it into the Q&A, and then we'll get to that either throughout the conversation or get to the ones that we've left unanswered at the end. But let's get the information out to you. You're going to hear some changes if you're a returner, but just know that's because we're constantly looking at ways to improve the safety and experience for our campers and families. And we're ready to have a great call with you tonight and a great summer this summer. From here, I'm going to pass it to Sam.
All right, thank you, Crystal. Good evening, everybody. I am Sam Obando, the Senior Program Manager for Resident Camp here at Camp Thunderbird. I am on my 10th year with camp, going on my 11th summer, and I very much enjoy what I do. So thank you so much for entrusting us this summer. I would love to get started with just a little bit on the communication piece from me to you. So typically, as you might have already received, we sent out an email recently just detailing a lot of the changes that we see going into the summertime, whether that's the introduction of Ultra Camp, Pack My RX, introduction on some of the ways that we're going to do cabin life, and then just key dates for you to stay informed. Now, as we continue to progress towards the summer, you'll also be receiving, I would say probably about 3 or 4 other email communications from me. One is going to detail coming out very soon, just the way that we're going to go about our activity selection. So please be on the lookout for that. And it's really just going to be an overview of the way that we're going to do it so that you can prepare for when it actually becomes time to select your activities. And then we'll send out another 30-day out email, just making sure that you're prepared, giving you any additional information that we deem necessary or that you may want, any frequently asked questions, or just anything that we find helpful that will make you feel comfortable going into the summer. And then as we near your session, you're going to receive about an email about 10 to 14 days prior that will include your activity selection, that specific link, how to go about it. Again, just some preparedness things like the packing list, maybe a couple of reminders about how we're going to do opening and closing, et cetera, et cetera. And then your cabin assignment, you'll receive that email about 4 to 5 days prior to the start date. And the reason that it's so close to that start date is mostly so that we can make sure that we get all the cabin assignments in, that we get all the ages settled to make sure that we can accommodate any requests that you might have or any other family may have as well. So that is going to be the typical kind of line of communication going into the summer. Now, in the event, of course, that any of you just have a couple of questions or you need to reach out to us, of course, my email will be attached to any of this communication. So feel free to always email me, and then I'll make sure to kind of share with you any primary phone numbers, whether it's with the health center or any of the on-call numbers that we will have during the summertime. Now, I would love to say that, in the event of any kind of emergency, we will always reach out and we'll always make sure that we connect with you. But during the summertime, if you shoot us an email and it takes about 45 to 48 hours, it's not because we're ignoring you. We're just really enveloped in our programming and just really trying to stay on top of spending time with the kids and making sure programming is running. So a little bit more on Ultra Camp. I'm going to pass it over to Crystal, and her and I are going to kind of tag team some of the key changes and kind of what to expect from a parent perspective, and then just share with you what we see on our end.
Yes. So I'm actually going to share my screen just to show kind of login and then what the profile in Ultra Camp looks like and where to find some things. And then I'll pass it on to Sam to kind of talk through details of the different ways that you'll use Ultra Camp leading up to the summer and throughout. So let me share. All right, so I am starting on our homepage, which is campthunderbird.org. And I'm going to go to login up in the corner, and then I'm going to actually go down to this login with single sign-on and proceed with my login. If you have not created a single sign-on yet, you would just select the option to create your single sign-on and you'll be walked through the steps accordingly. When you get to your YMCA of Greater Charlotte profile page or account, this is what it'll look like. And then you'll go to Ultra Camp login, which is just above your profile. Now, when I enter login, you're going to see first, this is like my administrative view. So let me now switch it over to what it looks like for me as a parent. Okay. Okay, so as a parent, if I didn't have to go through the administrative piece, when I clicked Ultra Camp on my profile, it would have taken me directly here. And there are a couple just key things on this page. One is you're going to see if you have any incomplete tasks, these are forms that you need to complete. Here beside your name, you'll be able to look at your reservations, anybody who's on your account, and then this is also where you can view and edit emergency contacts and pickup authorizations. From here, you can do just about anything. Clicking on the incomplete tasks is going to take you to the forms that you need to complete directly. And then another place you can go that is really helpful is in the menu on the left, go to Document Center. Now, you'll see I have all these urgent alerts because I have not done my own required forms for the summer yet, but I will by the deadline, which is June 1st. But the other nice part of this area is this is where you can upload your insurance cards for your camper. And then if you scroll down, you'll notice that we have a parent resources section. So we've got the packing list up there, Pack My RX information, which I will get to shortly. And we'll actually continue adding additional information as we approach the summer here in the Document Center. So that's just a very brief overview. And now I'm going to let Sam continue.
Thank you, Crystal. So just a couple of things that we're going to be using UltraCamp for as far as how we communicate with you. So one good thing is that you'll still be able to email campers through UltraCamp. So in your profile settings, you'll be able to on the menu side still select email camper. And what we do as a camp is typically every day, right around noon, we will print out all the emails that we've received the day prior before 7 p.m. So just know that if you wanted an email to go in, for example, like on a Wednesday, it had to go in Tuesday before 7. That email will then be delivered directly to your camper during a mealtime. And the reason that we deliver it at a mealtime, specifically lunchtime, is so that they can take it back to the cabin with them. So that is a great thing that you'll be able to do. Now, I will say campers will not be able to email you back, but if you have any stationery that you want to send with your camper, good old-fashioned snail mail works great. And that's a little bit of, that camp piece that also likes to remind us. So if you'd like to do that for your camper, no issue with that, but just know that they will not be able to email you back. Another piece, as I mentioned before, is the way that we're going to do activity selection. So we're going to be using UltraCamp for when it's time to use your activities. And this is how we're going to run our scheduling and kind of manage our schedules throughout the session. Now for photos, for those of you that were with us last summer, we tried out a new software called Waldo, which is a free software. I know there's a little bit of confusion, but it is a free software for you to use to view on the gallery. But the cool thing is that they did have an add-on, a paid add-on, to where it takes facial recognition so that as you're going through the gallery, if you have that add-on, it should be able to single out your camper throughout the session. So right now we're working on making sure that we can have some kind of link between the Waldo Gallery and UltraCamp. So please stay tuned for that, but hopefully it'll be a very seamless process. Additionally, on drop-off day, we'll also share a quick QR code with you so that it can take you directly to the gallery in the event that you have any issues with that. Um, Additionally, so we also have our bandana program. And for those of you who are not familiar with our bandana program, it's our reward system that we use to kind of incentivize our campers on skill progression, meeting goals, et cetera, et cetera. And the way that we were able to do it in years past, where that parents can actually see the progression of their campers throughout the summer, which is something we haven't been able to do. But I am happy to share that the work is certainly in progress. And I think we should be able to share that information with you so that while you are in session with your campers, you can track that progress. Right now, that information is going to be shared with you on your YMCA account. So you'll be able to see it on that end rather than UltraCamp. But again, baby steps. We're just really glad that you'll be able to see that as a parent. And of course, at the end of the session, we'll always make sure to do our Instagram live so that you can see the bandana ceremony. So those are some of the ways that we're going to be using UltraCamp. Our cabin assignments are also going to be through UltraCamp, but like I said, you around 4 to 5 days prior to your session, you'll get that information anyways. As Crystal mentioned, that document center is going to be crucial to making sure that you're filling out any forms, and that is inclusive of anything for transportation. So if your camper is coming at the airport, if they need to be picked up, or if your child is doing the return to Atlanta, all that information is there. So please, 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 please check that document center. Make sure you're filling out your forms because all that additional information that you would love us to know, anything that you think we need to know to make sure that your camper's stay is as comfortable as possible, and anything that we can do to accommodate, we'll pull directly from the UltraCamp portal. And then we're going to share a little bit about our health center. So I'm going to turn it back over to Crystal and we'll go from there.
I want to make sure I'm not jumping out of line. Jordan, are you up first? Okay.
He is. Yeah.
Everybody, Jordan is up.
Hey guys, I'm Jordan Moore. I'm the program supervisor of leadership development here at Thunderbird. So that's like our CIT program for resident camp, where a transition between your last year as a camper and before we're ready to apply for staff. I help with some leadership skills during that time, and a similar thing with our LIT program in day camp. But right now, I would love to share a little bit with you guys about our packing list. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, so I got it up right now. And while you guys kind of take this in and you can read through it, I'm going to share with you guys a few pro tips, if you will, about our packing list. So just off the bat, some of these numbers might seem like a lot, but these are numbers for our 2 week sessions where it's like 14 shirts, 14 pairs of shorts. Something I want to throw in is on Thursday in our signature sessions. So our 2 week sessions, we'll send laundry out that morning with breakfast. And then that Saturday, they'll get all their clean clothes back and have a fresh load going into week 2. A personal recommendation of mine is labeling anything that we might send off to Thunderbird and not bringing anything that you might have as your favorite shirt or something that would ruin your day if it got ruined. Because at the end of the day, it is camp. With our shoes over here, I think there's three types of shoes that if you bring them, it'll make your time here successful. That's going to be closed-toed shoes for athletics, water shoes. Those can be Crocs, flip-flops, slides. So we're going to be doing water activities every day. And then a pair of shower shoes for in the cabin, or if you're with our older boys in the shower house. We are going to be at water activities every day, so bring in a few pairs of appropriate length and appropriate coverage swimwear would be pretty important. A few things from my experience as a camper and then as a counselor that kids on day 2 are saying, man, I wish I brought are like flashlights, rain jackets. We are outside and who knows what Mother Nature's going to bring. Water bottles, sometimes even an extra water bottle, and then your bug spray and your sunscreen. There's a do not bring section over here. While some of those might seem obvious, I want to talk about things like smartwatches. If you have any type of electronic watch that does more than tell you the time and maybe track your steps, I'd probably leave that at home. But there's a lot on this packing list. It might seem like a lot to take in right now. The good news is it's in Ultra Camp, and I believe it's going to be sent out in another email before the summer. So with that, I'm ready to pass it on to Nancy to hear a little about our health center this summer.
Well, right before Miss Nancy, we'll come back to me. Now that you know our packing list, you're all packed up, you got all your travel documentations. Now it's, opening and closing. So right before your session, like I mentioned, you'll get that email and it's going to include a lot of new information for our returning families on what opening and closing will look like. So you know, as of recently, it's kind of been more of like a drive-through, right? Just coming through, dropping off, getting down. But we felt like we were losing that connection with our families. So this year, we want to bring back this kind of tailgate party, kind of welcome center for our families. So on opening day, what we're going to do is have different shifts, and we'll make sure to email this to you about times for arrival. And the reason we're going to do that is so that you can come, park. We're going to have a little welcome center for all families that's going to have information about in session, how to get to the camp store. It's going to have you check in, and we'll do like a little passport for you that goes over all the things that we think you should hit before the end of your closing shift. So things like checking in at the health center, making sure that if you have medications, your medications are turned in, talking to camp leadership. And then with that little passport at the end of your closing time of the opening day, you can turn it in and we will raffle it off to do something exciting for you as a family. This way, you can actually enjoy the opening experience and you're able to feel comfortable going into the cabin, meeting the counselors, and then for any of our first time families, or if you really just enjoy doing it, getting your camper settled. So that's the only difference for opening day. So it'll be less of a drive-through and more of an interactive opening day. And all this information will come prior to the session, so no worries. And of course, we'll have staff on day of that are going to direct you and give you all the directions necessary. Additionally, on opening day, as I mentioned with the bandana program, every camper is actually going to get this book, their bandana requirement card book. This is an old one. We have a new one because we've added some fun activities for this summer, but every camper will receive this. And then, of course, their camp t-shirt or any other goodies that you might have ordered prior to them arriving should already be at the cabin. And if you're worried about your luggage, don't worry about it. We've got that all covered. Once we get you parked, we'll have you unload, just follow our directions, and then we'll make sure the luggage makes it to the cabin. So the only thing that you will need to worry about is anything that you wanted to do specifically, or if you just feel comfortable taking it yourself. That is totally fine. But the bulk of it, we've got it all taken care of. Now for closing is going to kind of still be a little bit more quickness. And it's not because, we don't want our kids to be there. It's mostly just because, as for a lot of our families, we're sure that there's a lot of traveling involved, and so we don't want to keep you any longer than we need to. So closing, same kind of steps. We're just going to come, we'll direct you, quick little pickup, and then of course we're always going to be available as the camp leadership team to answer any of your questions or if you have any follow-up. Also, we are going to be setting up uh, so that while you're still in the excitement of the summer, you can go ahead and register for the next summer, because why not, right? You might as well keep that energy going. But of course, all this information will be shared with you prior to your session. And then in session, I will send out directions for closing. And I believe now we can go ahead and turn over to Crystal and Miss Nancy.
So Nancy, would you like to introduce yourself and tell our parents how they might be interacting with you this summer? And then I can talk through some health center procedure information. Okay, we're gonna switch it actually. I'm gonna get while Nancy is working on her unmute, I'll go through some health center information and we'll come back to Nancy. Okay, so we have a health center at camp to make sure that kids have the resources they need if they are feeling under the weather, if they have an injury while they're at camp, or if they have regular care that they need that, continues from home to camp. Nancy is our health
Yes.
center coordinator. So
Yes.
she is the one that puts all the pieces of the puzzle together for the health center. And I'll let her introduce herself real quick before I continue.
Hi, I'm Nancy. I'm very honored to be a part of this team at the Health Center for Camp Thunderbird. I try my best to keep everything as organized as possible and help things to run smoothly when it comes to medications for your campers. So I'm always available. The phone number for the health center, I believe, is posted, so you're more than welcome to call, or you can email me, Nancy.Weeks at YMCA Camp Thunderbird or YMCACharlotte.org. If you have any questions, I will get back to you as soon as possible. So I'm open to any questions that you have. Feel free to call or email, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Welcome.
Uh, Nancy is very organized. She does a wonderful job at the center. And with making sure if there's anything specific that your camper needs while they're here, she's great at making sure we have a plan in place, and that we're ready to serve in the way that we need to. So, continuing with some health center information, we staff nurses who are licensed in the state of South Carolina, since that's where we are. And all of our nurses are operating under physician's orders and procedures and protocols. We also staff health center assistants and Nancy, our health center coordinator. And between that whole team, anytime your camper is feeling under the weather, feeling injured, kind of our step in the process is they would go to their counselor. So if they're in activities, it would be their activity counselor. If they're in the cabin or at a meal, it would be their cabin counselor, and kind of report what's going on, what doesn't feel well or what hurts. And if it's something very minor, like we might need a Band-Aid for something, that's actually something the counselor can take care of then and there. If there's anything beyond that, then the counselor is going to check in with the health center to make sure it's a good time and place and it makes sense to send the camper. And then they'll send the camper to the health center, or at certain times, the health center might come to the camper. Our nurses will do our triage, right? So they'll kind of do the initial assessment of the camper and determine what is needed next. If there is an emergency situation, if we feel like a child needs to have care off-site, if we feel like they need to be seen by a physician, any of those kind of significant circumstances, you can expect to receive a phone call from us letting you know what's going on, just keeping you informed. We do take care of, like, if they need to go see a doctor, we'll take them to the doctor. We're just keeping you in the loop the whole time. If there is something more minor, right? Like maybe they needed to come get a Tylenol for a headache, but it resolved after that. Those are situations where we might shoot you a quick text or put an update in UltraCamp, just so you know they came to the health center. But other than that, we're going to just kind of keep on going through our day. So that's kind of our health center general daily procedures. But of course, a really big part of our health center operations is medication management. We stock quite a few over-the-counter medications, and those are listed in our health center parent guide, which is in UltraCamp. And those over-the-counter medications are really for the as-needed situation. So like I was mentioning, a camper might get a Tylenol for a headache. That's the sort of circumstance where we stock Tylenol. If you've given us permission to give your child Tylenol in your medication form, then that might be something that we give. If we carry an over-the-counter medication at camp that your camper takes regularly, for example, Zyrtec, we typically stock that. But if your camper takes it regularly every morning, it is your responsibility to send that medication to camp specifically for your camper. Now, when it comes to sending medications, we've had a really big change in our procedures this year, and that is that we're partnering with PackMyRx. Taylor is on the line with us, and she's going to go through some information shortly with everyone. But we're really, really excited about the partnership with PackMyRx. We know that it comes with some extra pre-work for parents. We do acknowledge that it comes with some additional fees. And really what I have to say as the camp director is, in my opinion, the benefit and the safety that will come with using PackMyRx outweighs the inconveniences.
Yes.
We will make sure if anybody finds a barrier in using PackMyRx, work with us, work with Taylor. We will find a way for your camper to have their medication safely packed for camp. So PackMyRx is a service. They are operating with Pawpaw Pharmacy. And what you do is you send your medication information from your physician to them, basically ordering it just through that pharmacy. What they do is they blister pack all medications, over-the-counters, supplements, and vitamins that your child takes on a regular basis. And then that is sent to us 1 week before your camper arrives. So that means all medication is accurately packaged, it's consistently packaged, and we have time before opening day to organize MedPass, which is vital, right? It is critical that is done right and precisely every time, and this service will help us do that. So from here, I'm going to pass it to Taylor and let her kind of introduce herself and PackMyRx. I will lead with a couple common questions that we are getting. So Taylor, some things maybe to hit on, and parents might chime in with some more in our Q&A. We do get some questions about specific insurance plans or Medicaid and the best way to go about that. And then We also get questions on like timing of filling prescriptions, and if it doesn't align with the regular refill, how that works with insurance processing and out-of-pocket costs, etc. So those are some big ones I'll let you hit on. I'm sure you'll answer a lot more, and the floor is yours.
Thank you for that, Crystal. My name is Taylor Peterson. I'm the director of Packmeyer Rx and also a pharmacist at Pawpaw Village Pharmacy, which is our partner pharmacy that actually fills all of the medications. So like Crystal introduced, MedPass is one of the most important things that you want to get right while you're at camp. So our system really helps to organize that. We blister pack all of the medications in multi-dose packages. So that way it's really easy for the nursing staff to double check that everything is accurate and safe before they're giving it to the camper. So to kind of touch on some of your questions, so Medicaid is one of the few insurances that we aren't able to take. It is state specific, and our pharmacy is located in Michigan. So if you do not have Michigan Medicaid, which I know most people will not, we will not be able to bill for that. I recommend reaching out to myself, Crystal, whomever, and giving the list of medications that your child is on. And I'm happy to go through it and give you what those out-of-pocket prices may be so we can determine if that's something that's feasible for you or not. Like I said, work with us, we'll work with you to make sure that we come up with a plan that works for everyone. The other question was about the timing. I know it gets a little bit confusing. So how our program works is we will not try to bill the insurance for any medications until the start date of camp. So we kind of do things opposite of what a traditional pharmacy does. You go, they bill the insurance and then you go and pick it up. Whereas we're going to ship the medications out before we do any of that billing to the insurance. So what that allows is for you to get any refills that your child may need ahead of time without any issues. So that way before camp, there's no stress about not being able to get something filled. The biggest thing I want to stress is if you normally get 90-day refills, do not fill a 90-day supply too close to camp. If you do that, then obviously we won't be able to bill the medication through while within our 30-day grace period, which I'll get to. So like I said, let's say June 25th, your child starts camp. We've sent the medications out on June 15th for roughly arriving, 7 days before your kiddo even gets there. And then we'll attempt to bill it. If the insurance does not let it go through on June 25th, but we will try to get a vacation override. Most insurances do accept them, but there are some limits on that. So if they don't allow it, but it'll go through within the next 30 days, so up to July 25th, we will push the date out for you. If there's anything that we need from you at that time after we've attempted to bill it, we'll reach out to you via email, and we again give 30 days from June 25th to work out everything, whether it's a prior authorization or it's not going through or yet. We'll work with you within that 30-day period to get it to go through. So like I said, if a 30-day supply was filled on the 20th of June before your child went to camp on the 25th, we would push it out because it would go through again roughly around the 20th of July. I know that can be a little bit confusing. So of course, any questions on that, or if you want to give us your specific date or whatever, I can definitely spell it out for you. That kind of leads me into the next thing, which is controlled substances. We do fill controlled substances. Our pharmacy is licensed in South Carolina, so we are able to do that. The thing for that is the timing of having those medications sent in. In Michigan, those prescriptions are only good for 90 days from the date that the doctor sends them in. So in order for us to be able to fill them and not have them expire before camp starts, is we recommend sending those in 30 to 60 days before your camp session start date. That just makes sure that they stay valid and that we're able to fill everything as expected. So there is a portal that you have to go to, create an account, and then through there, so if you have multiple children that attend, this Camp Thunderbird, you can do all of them through the one account, but you have to create an account for each one, and you fill out all of your basic demographic information, insurance information, your home pharmacy. We just ask for that just in case there's any questions about maybe how they were billing something, if they were billing a coupon, etc. We can always reach out to them and kind of get more information. And then we also have, obviously, your prescription medications and your over-the-counter medications. Prescription medications obviously need a prescription from the doctor. Any over-the-counter medications or supplements do not need a prescription. We will fill it based on the information that you provide in the registration. The other thing is we fill only in 30-day supplies. So even if your child only goes to camp for a week, we're still going to send a 30-day supply to camp. And we do this just for organizational purposes and also for insurance purposes. So when you have the prescription sent into us, please make sure that they're sent in for a full 30 days. If your child goes to camp for more than 30 days, then you need to send it in for 30 days plus one refill. Any medication, of course, that's left at the end of your child's session does get sent home with your child for use. So there isn't any missing medication and you shouldn't have any issues filling it for refills at home. The other thing is if while your child is at camp, try not to fill anything at home as well at your home pharmacy. That again will just cause some issues with us trying to do our portion. Part of the registration fee is $100 copay deposit. So what that means is that $100 is placed on your child's account. And then once we do all of that billing and we take care of everything, we'll put all of that onto that account. Anything remaining out of that $100 is refunded back to you at the end of the summer. And then if anything additional is owed, we would reach out to you with a statement to get payment from you. I think that's some of the big things. I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
We have a few that have come in, and I think between you and I, we can knock them out real quick.
All right.
Then if others come through, we can work on those throughout the call or offline. Okay, so one is my child doesn't take medicine regularly, but if they get sick at camp and they need antibiotics, do I need to have that filled through PacMyRx? And the answer is no. If your child needs antibiotics or any other prescription that's prescribed while they're at camp, we will use in most instances, we use our local pharmacy, which is Lake Wiley Pharmacy, unless the medication isn't available there, and then we're likely using a CVS. And so we will take care of all of the prescription filling, making sure we work with the pharmacy to package it properly, and then have it at camp so that we can distribute with MedPass. Yes, can we send over-the-counter meds through PacMyRx? Yes. So Taylor, I think I had it right by listening. Over-the-counter medications do not need to be ordered by the camper's physician. The parent can list any over-the-counter medications and you all are able to pack those.
Correct.
Wonderful.
So if you take a daily vitamin D or anything like that, just list that out in there. Obviously, as a pharmacist, we would, we check everything over to make sure that everything seems right, to make sure that, we didn't hit an extra zero or something in there and then we're giving them way too much or something. So we'll double check all of that as we do it. But we will, as long as everything seems normal, we will fill it as you put it on there. If there's any questions or anything like we're questioning, we'll reach out to you ahead of time.
Awesome. Okay, this says, does PacMyRx also cover things like autoimmune injections that are needed weekly?
That's a good question. So I'm going to cover things that we actually don't fill. So we don't do any compounded medications. Our pharmacy does not compound. So I know that there's some eye drops and stuff that a lot of kiddos are on that need compounding. We do not do any compounding. We don't do anything that needs refrigeration. So probiotics, insulin, weekly, I see like Enbrel is listed on there and that's refrigerated. Anything that's refrigerated or a specialty medication, so like growth hormones, things like that are usually have to come from a special pharmacy. We are not able to provide. We also do not do any birth control, just because, there's specific weeks in the packs and we don't know where your camper will be when they go to camp and we don't want to mess any cycles up or anything like that. So we don't provide birth control. And then we also do not provide any Accutane because there's special documentation that goes along with that medication. So we do not do that as well. But pretty much everything else is fair game. And if there's a question on if we can or cannot do it, shoot us an email or ask us here, and we're more than happy to answer that.
Awesome. If you all want to reference it specifically, we've got information laid out in the PacMyRx parent introduction letter. And there are other PacMyRx documents available as well in UltraCamp in the document center. But in there, we list what the procedure should be if PacMyRx is not going to be an option for you. PacMyRx is the required way to have medications, prescriptions, over-the-counter supplements, and vitamins provided at camp. You have to use PacMyRx unless PacMyRx can't serve you. And in the introduction letter, it spells out exactly what the exceptions are, and then what we need in order to still be able to serve your child properly, which we are committed to. If you have questions when you go through that, let us know. We're happy to work through it with you. And I feel like we've got some really excellent plans in place. There's a question about vitamins. Vitamins cannot be held by campers. In the cabins, they do have to be distributed by our health center team and packaged with PacMyRx in order for them to have that during their session. Okay, Taylor, for as needed medications.
Yeah, so we do provide as needed medications. Obviously, since they're not regularly scheduled, they don't go in your child's normal scheduled medication roll. We actually just send them in a bottle, so that way the nursing staff can give from there when needed. The big thing too is just still having it come through us is that it allows the staff to have it ahead of time, so that way everything is organized before your child even arrives.
I have some other questions against some as needed things, emergency medications. I'll put out some information from the introduction letter that goes over some of those exceptions and what the proper steps are. And I think that will answer a lot. I'm also going to take notes about who we've got some of these questions from so that if we need to touch base individually, we certainly can. For now, I'm going to let the conversation continue through the orientation, but I'll be working on the Q&A on the side. Emily, it's all you, my friend.
It is all me. My name is Emily Revels. I'm the program supervisor activity specialist here at Camp Thunderbird. I'm really excited to be working. I love camp. I love all the activities, and I'm here to make sure your kids are having fun. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our daily schedule and what that looks like for everybody. So first, Monday through Thursday we go on an A day, B day schedule. So Mondays and Wednesdays are the same activity-wise, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays are the same activity-wise. So 7:30 is wake up for everybody, and then at 8:15 is breakfast. And so camp will be split into two groups, and in the first group, they will go to their water activities in the morning, and then that first group will attend their land activities in the afternoon. When your camper gets to camp, that's when they will find out what group they are a part of, and that's how their activities are scheduled. And so for that first group, that's how they are. The second group, they will have, I can't remember what I said, land activities in the morning and then water activities in the afternoon. So camp split into two. That's kind of how they run. So if water activities are happening in the morning, they will have an assigned water activity from 9:15 to 11, and then from 11 to 12:15. Those are assigned. Those campers will travel to those water activities with their cabin. They will also intermingle with a couple other cabin groups that are the same age, same gender. And then the other half of the group that is on their land activities, we've kind of switched this up. Typically, we've done 3 assigned activities, but what we're doing this year is kind of new. So from 9:15 to 10:15, you will select your first activity option in UltraCamp. that will be an assigned activity period for your camper. From 10:15 to 11:15, your camper will have a free choice. So probably 90% of our land activities will be open. Your camper will stay on the land. That free activity period in the morning is not for them to go to the water activities. They will stay on the land, but they can choose where they would like to go. And then from 11:15 to 12:15, they will have another assigned activity choice that is also something that you will select in Ultra Camp. And then at 12:45, we will have lunch. At this time, right before they go to lunch, this is when somebody asked a question earlier, and this is what I'm answering. Right before lunch, all campers will go back to their cabins, make sure counselors will check, get head checks, make sure everybody's back from their activities. If they had a water activity in the morning, they will be able to change out of their bathing suit, get into dry clothes, wash all the gunk off of them, whatever happened at their water activities, and then they will go to lunch. After lunch, we will come back for rest period, which is about an hour, so 1:45 to 2:45, and then we have our afternoon activities. So once again, if you had water in the morning, you will have land in the afternoon. If you had land in the morning, you will have water in the afternoon. So it's the same thing, just swapped. You've got from 2:45 to 4 o'clock, you've got your first assigned water activity with your cabin, and then from 4 to 5:45 is your second assigned activity for the water. And then the same thing in the afternoon of 2:45 to 3:45 is an assigned activity choice. 3:45 to 4:45 is your free period on the land. And then from 4:45 to 5:45 is another selected choice in Ultra Camp. After that, campers will go back to their cabins, change out of their bathing suits, get ready for whatever our evening program is for that night. Sometimes it's just a runaround game. Maybe it's the dance, maybe it's movie night. But the counselors will know the schedule and they'll let your campers know so that they are appropriately dressed. And then dinner is at 6:15, and our evening program will happen at 7:15. And this year we've kind of broken up our dismissal from evening programs so campers can get their meds and get back to cabin safely and in an orderly fashion. So at 8:30, we're going to do bedtime meds and evening snack. So we split camp up into 6 different groups by age group. And when Sam sends out your cabin assignment, it will also include your camp assignment. And so YG and West Camp, YG is younger girls, those campers who are in those camps will get their bedtime meds and evening snack right at 8:30, and then, or yes, at 8:30. And then middle girls, which is MG and Central Camp, will get theirs at 9:30. And then OG and East Camp will get theirs at 9:45. And then after everybody's gotten their bedtime meds, their bedtime snack, everybody goes back to their cabins for shower time and devotion, and lights out are at 10 p.m.
Great. Thank you. And like Emily mentioned, mealtime is essential. These kids are burning calories, especially in some July days where, it's 95 and plus. They are burning a lot of calories, and so nutrition is essential. So the way that the dining hall works is that at every meal, we eat family style. What that means is that they're sitting with their cabin and their counselors are helping them when it comes to handing out portions. All the food is brought to the table, and so the kids don't even have to get up. Even in the event when food runs out and it's time for seconds, thirds, fourths, whatever the case may be, all that refill is brought to the table, and we'll have assigned runners during each meal to make sure that our cabins are getting their meals refilled, or any food item, part of the entree, whatever the case may be, is being refilled. Now, if you have a dietary restriction, we have plenty of campers who have dietary restrictions, whether that's gluten-free, dairy-free, vegan, vegetarian, et cetera, et cetera. We are more than happy to accommodate that. Our chef team, our Aramark is a third-party vendor, but they have been with us for many years, and our chef is amazing, has been with Camp Thunderbird also for many years. They are very good at accommodating any of those needs. We just have to make sure that that is included in your camper profile. So again, going back to Ultra Camp, this is where we're going to pull that information. Now, the event that even through all the entrees, they're not enjoying it, for example, like Taco Tuesday, they're not a big Taco Tuesday fan. That's okay. That happens. We're also going to have a salad bar for our campers that'll have things, like just lettuce, spinach, baby carrots, pickles. It'll have sun butter and jelly. There'll be options for toast, maybe another fruit, just to make sure that if they're not enjoying the entree that's being served, they're still having food. Which is another piece that Emily mentioned is the evening snack. We're going to try and do snacks throughout the day because we know that, again, they're burning all these calories. And so right after rest period, they'll actually get a snack too. So they take a nap, whether if they actually get to take a nap, right after rest period, we'll give them that little snack going into their activities to make sure that we have no kids going hungry. We are adamant on making sure that stays clear. And Jordan's going to talk a little bit more about what those snacks look like here in just a little bit. But I just wanted to touch base on how the dining hall functions. Like I said, it's all together. So all of camp is in there in unison and making sure that everybody is having meals. Even for cleanup, we'll also have runners kind of organizing cleanup so that we don't have any issues. Again, just making sure that our campers just focus on eating and getting either to rest period or getting out to their evening programs and just getting out to the activities for the days. I'm happy to answer any questions on dining hall when we get to the Q&A, but just wanted to touch on that briefly before I hand it over to Jordan about evening programs.
All right. Thank you, Sam. And I really do want to emphasize we have a great chef here at Thunderbird. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about EPs. And in my opinion, this is where things really get fun. I am a little biased. I was running the resident camp evening programs last summer, but these are so much more than just camp activities. They're one of the biggest highlights of camp. So after dinner, we'll have a little free time typically where we can run on the big GA field, play soccer, basketball, maybe just hang out. But then we're going to get together and whatever it might be that night. It could be a big game. It could be some type of competition, a theme night. We have a talent show. We have a dance. What's great about EPs is it changes every night and it never gets stale. It's something campers and counselors alike can be looking forward to throughout the day. An example of one that I always loved as a camper was Safari, where our counselors would disappear at the end of dinner and then we would run around camp and they're dressed up as all kinds of different animals that we're trying to tag them and earn some points so our cabin can win that evening program that night. Something I love about evening programs is every camper's involved, no matter their age, and it gets all the energy out before we send them back to the cabins. Something at Thunderbird we pride ourselves on is whether with our activities, with snacks, however we do it, we don't want kids to go back to the cabin with any extra energy when the day's over. So these EPs really create the camp moments that your camper might get in the car and talk about as soon as they get picked up. So with that, I'm going to transition into something Sam touched on, Emily touched on a little bit, and that's going to be how we do snacks here at Thunderbird. So they were added last year and immediately campers loved them. We try to do 2 snacks a day. We'll have some of our lead staff in a snack cart, driving around to different activities, handing out simple things, whether it's Cheez-Its, Goldfish, granola bars, fruit snacks. Sometimes we might be sending them out of the dining hall with a snack to eat at the end of rest period. And our goal with it is we want to keep the energy up. We want to keep kids active, engaged, and we're never going to have your campers feeling hungry throughout the day because, something Crystal says that I love is 80% of camping problems can be solved with a snack caused by some hunger. So it's something that we do pretty intentionally throughout the day. And with snacks comes, if you have a camper, you know I'm talking about canteen. And that's kind of, we'll call it the fun snack moment of the day, where we'll have a salty or sweet option. It could be a popsicle on cabin nights, which are evening programs that you do specifically with your cabin. We'll have Kona Ice. We can do muffins, Skittles, just something campers can look forward to, and they're getting a good balance of real meals throughout the day, and then our snacks and canteen to keep the energy up and make things fun. So, with that, I'd like to pass it off to our program supervisor of camper experience, Hunter.
All right. Thank you, Jordan. Good evening, everyone. My name is Hunter Goodhart. I will be overseeing camper experience and the whole cabin life process this year. This will be my fourth summer at Thunderbird. Last summer, I was our day camp director, and the previous 2 summers before that, I was our associate day camp director. So if I'm misspeaking or anyone wants to add anything that's been on the resident camp team for some time, please feel free to hop in. So the first thing I'm going to touch on is first time camper calls. So this doesn't matter if your camper's a 1 weeker or if your camper's a 2 weeker, you will receive a call in the middle of the week from one of our head counselors, kind of just touching base, talking about how their week's going, things they're trying, things that they're looking forward to, just to kind of put you as a parent at ease a little bit, because I know sending your kid away for the first time, I'm sure is you're super nervous and you want to know what's going on at all times. So this is kind of our way to make sure that you guys are still being kind of touching base with what's going on with your camper. So now we're going to move into kind of our letter writing. So our letter writing is only for our signature campers, which is our 2 week campers. And what this is a handwritten letter from their counselors, from their staff, kind of just talking about who they are as as their counselors, who they are, what they do, and then kind of also just going into a little bit more detail about how your camper is doing, what things they're trying, what things they were maybe scared of at first. A good example of this is like the blob, right? The kids get so scared to do the blob at first, and as the week goes on and goes on, they build up that courage to do it. So we'd love to kind of get into those details about things that they're trying and things that they maybe were a little hesitant at first, so you guys can kind of see that progression in their confidence. Really, what resident camp brings is that that level of confidence goes up throughout their 2 weeks. So that is the letter writing. You'll receive that the second week. You'll receive it in a fax, or not a fax. We don't do faxes anymore. A scan that will come to your email. Then you will also get a physical copy at closing when you come to pick up. So in terms of staffing requirements in our cabins, the ratio for staff to camper is 1 to 4. So a lot of the times you'll have 3 to 4 counselors in the cabin with the kids, and you also have a CIT. The CIT does count towards the camper ratio because they are not staff. So 3 to 4 counselors and a CIT that are in the cabin with them at all times. All of our counselors are first aid, AED, CPR certified, that they have to renew every single year. So it's a class that they take every year before camp starts. And that's their main job in the cabins, is also to, make sure everything is going well. So what we'll put in the cabins also is we have like cards that we'll have in there. We'll have some games, so there's no need to pack any of that stuff because we will provide that. So like for our downtime or like our rest periods, we'll have times for them to we'll have like things for them to do, rather than if they aren't really, we want them to rest, but we all know that's not always what happens. A good recommendation though for them to bring when they're coming is a book's a good example, because in the mornings, if they wake up early, we don't let everyone get up until the counselor gets up and they're ready to go. So a good book maybe in the morning, and also at rest period, we see a lot of people that like to read in these situations. So when we talk about youngest camp and West camp for our boys, it's primarily 6 to 9 is our age range. Our central camp and our MG, which is our middle girls, is 10 to 12. And then our East camp and our oldest girls is 13 to 16. Now, those numbers can change. Like, let's say if you have an 8-year-old, there's a chance they could be in the middle group. It just depends on kind of what ages we have and how many we have of each week. But that's kind of what we go off of for how we determine what camp they're in. Let me just see if I missed anything in here. So I answered one earlier. For our 1 week campers, they are in a cabin with other 1 week campers. Now, if they have friends that are 2 week campers, this is the perfect time to request those activities together. So that will give them the opportunity to see each other if they aren't able to be in the same cabin. But other times throughout the day, like you'll see them at every activity or meals. You'll see them at meals. You'll see them after dinner, kind of in that little bit of free time. So if they're not in the same cabin, don't fear, because we do have plenty of opportunities to see each other throughout the day. We see that a lot within our siblings, who are one's in MG and one's in like the youngest boys. Sometimes parents think they won't see each other throughout the day, but they will have plenty of opportunities to be able to see each other and talk throughout the day. Let me see and just make sure I'm not missing anything. Yep. So when we talk about first camper calls, it will come from a lot of it might come from a if they just use their cell phones. We're trying to have phones for them this year that you'll be able to like know that it's a Lake Wiley area code, so 704. But it might come from a block number. I'm going to try my best to not do that, but every single time they will leave a voicemail. So make sure you guys check your voicemails, and then if you don't call, we'll try again throughout that day just to make sure that you guys do get those calls. 2 week campers request cabin mates. Yes, absolutely. They need to make sure that they're within a year with each other. They can't be within, like, a 14-year-old can't go with a 12-year-old. We do get times where sometimes their birthdays are like so close to that spot. So let's say you have a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old who want to be in the same cabin. If the 12-year-old's birthday is a week after camp ends, we usually can make that exception. We just need to make sure that the 14-year-old comes down to the 13-year-old camper. Like, we want the older campers to come down rather than send like a 12-year-old up into a 14-year-old cabin, essentially. You have twins. Can you request they be separate? Sure. I'm sure we can figure out a way to make sure that they are separate. If it's not in the bunk request, you can feel free to shoot me an email and we can make sure that has it. I'm going to pass it off so we can keep going here. And then at the end, we'll be able to get to these questions. I have it cut off. I'm not sure who is
It's
next.
me. I'll touch.
Okay.
If you didn't already, I'll just touch a little bit on staffing, and our amazing staff team, who are really like the core of our camper experience. So our staff members are very experienced. A lot of them were previous campers coming through our counselor in training program, which is our teen leadership program. So they have even more knowledge about how we do and operate. And we also bring staff members in internationally through a third party that are vetted, and everybody has a background check, everybody gets checked, and everybody's trained. So we have about 7 days worth of training, and even more if our staff members receive any additional certifications. Specific activities that require that are our aerial adventure courses. So anything that has to do with high ropes requires an additional 7 days of training, 3 of instruction, and about 3 of just testing. So it's very rigorous, very intense. And obviously, it's for safety reasons, just making sure that we stay on top of the safety of our campers. Additionally, our boat drivers undergo Coast Guard training. So they are licensed Coast Guard drivers and also undergo sea school in addition to ski school, where they just learn a little bit about giving instruction to our campers. And then for things like our target sports, whether it's archery and riflery, those are also required certifications that take about full days and a practical. So our staff members are well equipped in not only just handling situations inside of a cabin, but also handling situations out in activities. Now, anytime we have anything on the waterfront, those staff members are lifeguard certified, whether it's through the YMCA of Greater Charlotte, YUSA, or through American Red Cross. So every single staff member that is working on water, with the exception of a few, if they're doing like line management, will be a lifeguard at the pool, on the lake, at sailing, wherever the case may be. So that is another certification that our staff hold. We also do trainings on child abuse prevention. We do trainings on specific topics like homesickness, things we typically see in the cabin, so that they know how to handle these situations. So for any of our first-time families, I know this is a hard transition, but please rest assured that we prepare them as much as we can. And we ourselves are constantly going through trainings, going to conferences, so that we can continue to build on the tools that we give our staff members when they're dealing with these situations in the cabin. We practice a 1 staff member to 4 camper ratio. And then the only time that ratio changes is just in our older group. So for example, anywhere between 12 and 16 years old, we'll jump more to like a 1-to-6 ratio. But typically that's the ratio we practice in a cabin. So anywhere where there's 12 to 16 to 18 different kids, we'll have that ratio there so that we can continue to keep eyes on the kids, keep the right supervision, and make sure that every kid has a counselor that they can connect with, right? And those are the things that we kind of do in the cabin, but know that we try our best to stay on top of our staff. Hunter, you had something to add.
Yeah, so one of the questions was talking about assigned beds. We do assign them. So my suggestion is to be in your when you're going through like all your stuff, make sure you note that like if they want to be top, they're top bunk, but also please make sure you note like let's say if they're like a sleepwalker or like they wet the bed, something along those lines where we would have to adjust the cabin and the bunks. Please make sure you're noting that so we are able to make those accommodations for your camper. And real quick, I want to talk about, I think we don't think we mentioned this yet about water stuff. So when it comes to the pool, the first day of every week, they'll do a swim test. And this swim test will basically give us give them a swim band depending on what their skill level is for swimming. So if they get a red band, they have to have a life jacket in when they go in the pool, and then so on. A green band means they're good to go in the pool with no life jacket. We do get a lot of questions about retaking this swim test because campers are, nervous or just aren't doing their best. It's just one of those days. We definitely allow a retake of that swim test. They can do it the next day, no problem. And our ratio for the pool is 1 lifeguard to 25 campers. So anytime we're in the big pool, most of the time we'll have 4 lifeguards up that will cover the entirety of the pool. Now, when we move to the lake, it doesn't matter what kind of swimmer you are. Every single person has to wear a life jacket in the lake at all times. So if you're swimming, so that's including boating, that's including blob, that's including the slide. You have to have a life jacket on that will be fitted by one of our staff that is at that area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Yep. Great points. Yeah. And all this encompasses that training that we talk about with staff. So if you have any additional questions to that, please go ahead and add it to the Q&A and we'll try to answer it. We can answer it live, or some of us are answering it as the call progresses. But just a little bit on the certifications and some of those added things. Some of those things need some additional certifications for just more robust activities. We're going to talk a little bit about our add-ons. So I'll go ahead and let Emily talk about our activity add-ons.
Alrighty, before I talk about add-ons, there was a question up here about only the 2 longer water activity periods. So we still have all campers will attend all water sport or water activities, and that is paddle sports, swim lessons, so the pool, and then rec swim, as well as ski tower and sailing. And those still run on an A-day, B-day schedule, and those will be like scheduled for your camper for their cabin, but they will get the chance to do all water activities, but they don't get the chance to do all land activities because those will be picked by you and Ultra Camp. And then we do what we call free day on Saturday and Sunday, as well as Friday. And that is in the morning and in the afternoon. Certain activities will be open. on the land and the water, and your camper can choose wherever they want to go, whatever is open on those days. So nothing is assigned, just the time period is assigned, but they can do basically whatever they want as long as the activity is open and staffed. So for our add-on activities, we offer advanced wake sports, advanced pottery, and horseback. So somebody asked how many kids are on the wake sports boat, and so we typically do about 6 campers for that advanced wake add-on. And correct me if I'm wrong, they can add an add-on in Ultra Camp or by calling the front office if they've already registered. Okay, and so for advanced wake sports, all of these add-on activities happen during your land activity period. So whether that's in the morning or the afternoon, these add-on activities happen during their land periods, which will take over their free period that they may want to choose. So advanced wake is a 3-hour long add-on activity. So that will take up the entirety of their land activities, and they'll get the chance to go onto our wake boats. And this is where they can wake surf, wakeboard, ski, slalom ski. And like Sam said, these boat drivers are Coast Guard certified. We provide life jackets for these campers. All of these life jackets are also Coast Guard approved. So if your camper would like to bring a special life jacket for this add-on, for the wake sports add-on, they are welcome to bring their own life jacket, but it must be Coast Guard approved, and it will say it on the life jacket on the tag. And it will be checked by our staff if they choose to bring their own life jacket. But we typically do about 6 campers per boat. We do multiple boats, both morning and afternoon. In the event of weather, and we have bad weather and a camper cannot do their add-on that day, we will find a time to reschedule it to make sure that they are still getting their time on the boat that they deserve. And then for advanced pottery, this is two activity periods. And this is a specialized time that is outside of normal pottery. And so this one is a paid add-on. And this is for our 2-week campers only. If you want to do advanced pottery, you have to be a 2-week camper. And this is where they'll get a specialized time with our pottery staff, where they'll get to make just all the pottery creations. They'll have time to glaze, put it in the kiln, fire it. And all these campers will get to take home whatever they create in advanced pottery home with them. Same with regular pottery. But if you sign up for advanced pottery, this guarantees that your camper gets to participate in pottery, and they get a little bit longer time to do it. And then our last one is horseback. This is also 2 activity periods, and they will get the chance to work with some of our horseback instructors. And they'll take care of the horses. They can work on cards. You do not have to have any experience for any of these add-on activities. You can sign up for these if you have never ridden a horse before, if you've never gotten on a wakeboard, and our staff are trained to help your kids learn and try new things. So feel free to ask any other activities about add-ons. Is advanced wake sports for the full afternoon or full morning? Yes, it will cover that entire morning activity period. So say Sally, it has land activities in the morning and water activities with our cabin in the afternoon, and she signs up for advanced wake sports. Sally is going to go to advanced wake in the morning, and that will take up all of her morning activities on that A day or B day. So she'll have 2 days for advanced wake if she's a 1-week camper, or 4 days of advanced wake if she's a 2-week camper. And then in the afternoon, that's when she will attend those water activities with her cabin. And I think, who's next? I think that's everybody. I can pop in the chat and answer some other questions. Crystal and or Sam.
Great. Well, thank you for that. We'll talk a little bit about the camp store. So I'll let Crystal go ahead and talk to you a little bit about our amazing camp store and what to expect. And then I will jump on our care package question.
Awesome. So we have an awesome camp store where there's all sorts of camp merchandise and fun clothing items, trinkets, some camp staples like a crazy crate chair. All of those are available in our camp store. Our camp store is available for pre-order. So we will send out the link to the camp store. You can go online, shop, And if you're doing that in advance of your arrival, our team will pre-pack that order and have it ready for your camper in their cabin upon arrival on opening day of your session. We also have the camp store open for shopping every opening day. And so that can be one of the stops on your opening day visit around camp if you want to check it out, see if there are any last minute items you want to add for your camper. And that's the scoop at the camp store.
Thank you, Crystal. Yeah, and at any time during in session, let's say you really want to, they have a birthday in session and you want to treat them to something from the camp store, you can go ahead and place that order and we can make sure it's delivered to them. Most of the time, we make that delivery during a meal again so that they can go back to their cabin with their item. So that can be done in session too. So please, please, please check it out. A lot of cool stuff and a lot of new stuff coming still that hasn't been updated. So that'll be very exciting. Now, the question on care packages. We do accept specific care packages during the session. Now, in general, we don't take care packages. So if we receive a care package that you sent, it's okay. We'll just hold on to it. And then at the end of the session, we'll return it. And we'll just check in with you just for that matter. And the reason we do that is just mostly just to keep everything seamless. They get plenty of snacks. So any specific snacks that they might have, I promise we have all the things. At canteen time, it is a smorgasbord of goodies, whether it's Sour Patch Kids, M&Ms, like Jordan was saying, Goldfish, Doritos, Lay's, all the good stuff. So I promise you, we have all those things. And even this year, the summer, the camp store might even have some goodies for them to take a look at too, in addition to, but we don't accept care packages. Now, if you have a birthday, if there's like a special occasion, then yes, that you and I can email. Families typically would email me or they'll email Hunter, who's in charge of our camper experience, and we'll let you know if it's okay. And we'll manage that on a one-to-one basis. But in general, we don't take the care packages. And like I said, we'll do our best to kind of keep it and then just give it back to you at the end of this session. Okay. Well, I think that is the end of our portions. So everything we had to share with you. Like I mentioned, I know a lot of us have been answering the questions in the Q&A already, but we'll just go from top to bottom now and see, and whoever is more equipped to answer it for you, they can. But before we do that, I think Emily had one more thing to touch on.
Yes, somebody had asked in the chat about could they bring their own helmet for horseback, and it made me remember. If your camper signs up for horseback, it is highly, highly, highly recommended that they bring a pair of pants. This can be leggings, jeans, horseback riding pants, just anything that covers the full length of their leg. I know it can get hot, but they can definitely bring a pair of shorts to change into after they are done with horseback. But it is definitely recommended that they bring pants because when it's super hot outside, the leather of the saddle can really irritate their legs. And so we definitely recommend that they bring a pair of just something to cover their legs for horseback. But they can definitely bring their own helmet. They can bring their own pair of boots. We do recommend that you have your own pair of boots and or closed-toed shoes for horseback because it can get super muddy up there and gross. So if you have a separate pair of shoes you want to use for horseback, that's definitely recommended. We have a very limited selection of boots that we can provide to campers. So it's definitely recommended that you bring your own, but we do provide helmets. And of course, in any circumstances, we can get your camper a pair of pants. If there's rips, they have some extra up at the barn. So anything like that.
Yep. Yeah, that's great. And Camp Thunderbird is very privileged to actually have an on-site equestrian manager that is here year-round. And so she typically will send out an email to all add-on participants and or any private lessons that you might be taking during the summertime, entailing all these details and just anything kind of last minute to make sure that it is covered. So thank you for that, Emily. Okay, so now first time camper. I don't want to miss this midweek call. Will I know what day and time the call is coming and from what phone number? That is a great question. So there is not a specific day or time. I will say they typically happen on that first Wednesday morning. That's when head counselors try to get through all of them. But I think sometimes it's reasonable to say that they won't get to all the calls in the morning times, just depending on how many new camper families we have. The phone number that it will come to, I can share that it will definitely be a 704 number. And then the only thing that can tie you back to Thunderbird is the following, which is a 716. So it'll more than likely match the first six numbers of what it would be like if you called the front desk or if you call any of us directly to our extensions. So if that helps a little bit to let you know, I can't say a guaranteed time, but at the very least know that it'll more than likely happen around at any point during that first Wednesday. In the event that it changes, I know that Hunter and the head counselors are going to be good about just communicating, letting you know it's coming, so that you can stay on top of it.
There will always be the opportunity to reach back out, right? So if you miss the call, that doesn't mean you've missed the conversation. They'll make sure when they leave you a message to let you know how to reach them back when you're available.
Okay. So the next question says, in prior years, I've wanted my girls to ski, but they told me that's not offered since everyone wants to tube or banana. Is it going to start to be encouraged again? So I'm assuming you're asking just general at Ski Tower, like general programming. Yes. So it is something that we try to encourage, right? Whether it's through kind of just general instruction, right, on the ski tower. I know it's happened in years past, but it's something that Emily and I have been focusing on, and just this team in general, just focusing on that skill progression. So we're really trying to bring back more of that instruction and making sure that at the very least they can learn the basics of, whether it's skiing, kneeboarding, those kind of scenarios. Other things, more intensive instruction is going to happen in the advanced wake program. But yes, I completely agree with you. That is something that we're trying to go back to, of just doing like the initial instruction on skiing. When do we actually sign up for activities? That is a great question. And there's also a question about when it actually opens. So you will not actually sign up for your activities until the 10 to 14 day window prior to your session. That's when you'll receive either a specific link or any specific instructions on when to do it. And that's when it will open for you officially. So again, 10 to 14 days prior to your session is when you will actually make your activity selection. For a 2-week camp, do parents get to visit during the weekend in between? I encourage you not to. However, if you ask, of course, that's a more one-on-one basis with me and or whoever one of these amazing team members is in charge of that weekend, they can accommodate you for that. But for changeover, we have a lot of things already planned for them. We have a great activity list planned for them. We got some great meals. We even have an outing planned for them during the session, during that changeover session too. But of course, if you just want to do a quick drive-by, we can talk. The reason is logistically, sometimes it's a little bit tricky because, like I said, because we're in programming and sometimes, just trying to get them back and signing them in, it just all has to do with the safety of the camper. So while I encourage you not to, if there's like a special occasion, and we can certainly talk through an issue like that.
If you don't mind, Sam, I'll chime in a little bit just as camp director and camp parent. I would encourage highly not to visit at camp unless there is a unique or special circumstance. There is a really magical thing that happens at camp when kids are in this environment and living in it 100%, especially when we get past that 1 week time frame and we're looking at 2, 3, 4 weeks. The difference in a camper being independent for 1 week versus experiencing the independence and experience of a 2 week session is extraordinary. And seeing family is awesome in many instances, but in others, it can rekindle homesickness. It can pull energy and attention away from where they've been progressing in the camp program. And to be perfectly honest, it can be difficult for cabin mates or others who don't have that opportunity. So, like I said, if there's a special or unique circumstance, do reach out to Sam and see what can be coordinated. But I highly encourage you to allow your camper to fully immerse in the camp experience for the entire duration that they're here.
Yes, yeah, I can't reiterate that more. Please know that we are not blind to how hard this can be. Like Crystal said, she's a parent herself. I just had my first child, and all these wonderful people know and have that experience with kids. So we are not blind to how difficult this transition can be. But know that we are well equipped and we can handle these situations. And if we're saying these things, is because we've seen it throughout the years, and we just want that growth to happen for our campers and for you as a parent as well, so that this experience can really be magical and it can be a positive one for them. There was a question that I think somebody already answered, but dealing with if there's like a language barrier with a camper, language barriers with parents, we can do our best. Some of us are like bilingual, like I can do Spanish, and I'm sure there's like I said, our international staff members, there are some that can speak other languages too. So we'll find ways to connect to make sure that we're getting all those pieces covered. Well, it looks like we've cleared out the Q&A. We'll just stay on the line for just a couple more minutes, but I think we've hit every piece. I hope that you've enjoyed this webinar. You've enjoyed this orientation. We know that we just gave you so much information. And again, we'll do our best to make sure this is getting to you via email. And just know that we are very excited. The days are numbered right now, right? Like the summer camp is so close. We are very excited. We know there's a lot of new changes, but change is good. This is going to be a good summer, even with everything new coming in. At the end of the day, camp remains the same. Camp is camp, and what happens at camp will remain the same. So I see some new questions, and I'll see here. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much.
As the parent who's done the drop off, I can assure you that is the case.
Yes.
I'm the parent that stalks the camp photos every night and like begs my son to send me letters in the middle of the session, and I get nothing. He's way too busy to miss me. And I have to be honest that I love it. That's how I want it to be. I want him to be having that much fun. So that's how it is, unfortunately, for us parents.
I'm gonna pop on and answer this question real quick.
Yep.
So for our water activities, we've got our main 4 of the pool, paddle, ski, and sail. And while I said there's the 2 longer activity periods, there ski and sail, that is where they're gonna have that full hour and a half. Because it takes a little bit longer for them to get out to the ski tower, to get onto the sailboats and out into the water so that they're able to sail. So that's going to be that full hour or 30 minutes. But that second hour and 30 minutes, where that's that second longer period, that is going to be split between paddle and pool. And they will either have like just time in the pool, or they'll have rec swim where they can go and do the blob or the wet Wiley or our Wibbit obstacle course. And then that second 45 minutes as well, they'll do paddle. So they'll still get to hit all of our water activities. Just ski and sail are those longer activity periods, just because it takes a little bit longer to get those up and running, and we want to make sure that the campers have enough time to enjoy them.
Does anyone know the question about the saddle? I have to admit I don't, but I do know who does if it isn't this team. You're on mute, Sam.
Yeah, so right there with you on that same vein. You can always, I'm sure there are like specific requirements to bringing your own saddle, just like it would be for the life jackets being Coast Guard approved. But transparently, our equestrian manager is going to know that more. So that question we can definitely relate to her, and she's more than happy to answer it. Her name is Mary Kate. You can find her information online.
I'm
But
sending it in the comments too.
just kidding. She's going to put it right now in the comment, but you can ask her directly and she can touch on anything as far as specifics.
So once that the activity link gets sent out for you to schedule your activities, the question is the schedule posted online to let us see what the choices are for campers to sign up? So once that link is sent out, you will have your options of your 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever we end up naming it for you to do those 4 chosen activities. And when it comes to selecting, so say you're selecting your first period on your A day, an option will drop down and you will see only the available activity periods for that time. So there won't be any activities that aren't open during that time. So whenever you go in and you'll see period 1, A day, and all of the options will be available there. And then same for that third period option that's selected, all of the options will be able there. And we've taken some time to go through and make sure that because all campers are different, they have different likes and the things that they like to do. Some campers like the sports more than they like doing like cheer or dance. And so we've gone through and made sure that not all of the activities are happening on one day, one time. They're crossing over. And it also goes into if your camper has an add-on activity that certain activities aren't happening on just an A day or just a B day. So we've mixed it up a little bit. The capacities are up there so that your campers can sign up for it, but you'll be able to see all of the available options.
You're on mute again, Sam.
There's a quick question about our try at camp this coming weekend. So yes, our cabin assignments are going to go out tomorrow officially for it, and then we'll add in any additional tips. The only thing I would say here is just keep an eye on the weather for the weekend. It might be cooler in the morning time. I don't think, knock on wood, there's not going to be any rain, but just keep an eye on it and just make sure they have the appropriate wear for that. But nothing additional to that piece. But like I said, I'll make sure to add any last minute things onto that email tomorrow.
I will say with Try It Camp too, if your camper's nervous, a great thing to do to prepare is just talk about how confident you are in them and encourage them and kind of have that mindset when it comes to Try It Camp or your real big long camp session. We really suggest avoiding any I can come pick you up early or promises like that because campers will get over the homesickness and things like that and have a blast. You just kind of got to get over the hump. So give them your confidence and encouragement, and it's going to be great.
Who do we reach out for a birthday? Our daughter's turning 8 at camp. So our wonderful program supervisor for Camper Experience, Hunter Goodhart, you'll be emailing him directly just so that we can manage logistics. One thing that we didn't touch on too much was that at camp, we actually do a little something for our campers who have a birthday at camp. We do a nice little cake or a nice little treat, depending on dietary restrictions that they can share with their cabin. And all of camp gets up and we sing them happy birthday. And I know you're saying, oh my gosh, they're going to hate that. Or you're saying, like, oh my gosh, they're going to be so elated by that. But I promise it's fun and we do it. We make them stand on a chair and we sing happy birthday for them. So it's quite an experience, but you'll email Hunter directly so that can make sure we can manage the logistics on our end.
So we got a question about if you sign up for an activity, will you get it, or will there be alternatives again? So how we have our Ultra Camp activity scheduling work is those periods will be up and available for you to see what's going on during those 4 different scheduled activity periods. And we'll have a capacity set on the back end where when you click and you say, I want to do pottery on first period A day, it'll hold your spot for just a little bit so that somebody can't come in and swipe it if you're taking your time to look at the different options. But what you'll do is you'll click and choose which one you want. Once you save it, it will go and it will save, and those activities will be scheduled from the minute that you click confirm. And so if we run into the issue that an activity period fills up, and so pottery is typically one of those that fills up very fast. We have a very limited amount of spots. And so when that activity period is full, it will not be available for you to choose anymore. And we're trying to work with the Ultra Camp team to get an option in there for you to provide some alternative activities. So in the event that your camper wants to do soccer first period, but only 2 campers have signed up for soccer. What we'll do is we'll get rid of that soccer activity period and try to look at their alternates to provide them with another activity for that time. If they really wanted soccer, we're going to maybe try to find another soccer period for them to go to. But right now we're working. There is not a place currently to work on or to enter an alternative. It's just those 4 activities, but we are working to try to get some sort of alternative text box, click option, something so that we do have those options so that if we do run into an issue where your camper can't get the activity that is their first choice, we're going to try to get to those alternates.
That's also part of the design of having additional choice activity times kind of built in throughout our week. Is we've got kind of the organized pre-scheduled activities, but then there are also there are time frames when a camper can go to, they've got a choice of all of the open activities at that time. So we're definitely committed to making sure kids get the experience that they're wanting, and there are going to be opportunities throughout their time here.
All right, these 2, when you get the activities are open email, get in there ASAP to get our first choices. I would recommend yes. As soon as you see that email come through, I would hop in there and get all of your choices in. Like I said before, we're going to have like a little buffer period where it'll hold your spot for about 5-10 minutes while you're making your other choices so that it can't come in and immediately get swiped. But I definitely would recommend that as soon as you get that email to go ahead and get in there and pick all of your activities, because once those are selected, unless a little bump in the road comes up about how there's only 1 or 2 kids in an activity period, where we might have to switch them, I would definitely recommend going in there, because then it'll be set and scheduled and your camper will know, like, oh, hey, this is what I'm going to have on A day and B day. And then the second question is, if we don't get pottery, can they do it on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or their open time? So yes, typically we don't have pottery open on a free day just because the cost of clay, the equipment, the kiln, the glaze, all of that kind of stuff can get a little pricey. So we typically will keep Pottery just opened as an assigned activity. There might be one day during the session where campers can go and just do like freewheel, pinch pot, something simple, but it may not be fired. It's all just going to simply depend on what our inventory looks like for those activities, because we got a certain amount that we can use in a certain amount of time. But we definitely, sometimes, I will say a little secret because y'all are on here. We always have the ability to go one or two over a capacity. It can happen. If your camper is really upset that they didn't get pottery, we can work with them to try to figure something out, because our number one thing that we want is to make sure kids are having fun. So we can always work, get some things through, try to push them over just a little bit to get that fifth person in for pottery. But yes.
Team, I think that's a wrap for this evening. You are so welcome. Thanks for sticking with us too. I know this is a really long conversation. But we are just completely thrilled to be launching into the summer season and really appreciate your time tonight. We'll send out the link to the email once hold on. I think I'm starting to get tired. The link to the webinar. We've recorded it and we will need to just get it processed and uploaded to YouTube, and then we'll email it out to everybody and make sure it's posted online. So that if there's any portion you need to review or someone who didn't get to join needs to see, it will be accessible. And any other questions you all have, reach out to us. We'd love to answer them and make sure you're feeling well prepared for the summer and that your camper is excited and has all the information and resources that they need as well. Thank you so much. Good night.